we have decided to do our weekly catch-up at one of our favourite places when we've come to Vegas in the past, but we've actually only ever been here once, but we loved it last time we came here, and it is the Valley of Fire.
Yeah, that's all I've got.
That's all you've got. It's what time is it? It's midday. Our plan was actually to get here a bit earlier before it gets super hot, but it is not as hot as it is in Summerlin, but still probably hot for a lot of you guys. It's about 28 degrees C.
Yeah, it's 28. It's not hot at all here. Anything over 30 is hot. So it's actually cooler here than at home, so it's quite nice. Although I did expect it to be over 30, so I don't have any vests. And we've mentioned it before, but I don't have any vests because when our stuff was collected, we were moving to California and it was going to be cold. So I packed all winter stuff, but now we're here in Vegas.
Not that cold in California.
No,
but for him,
anything under about 25, I can wear a tracksuit, so
he's
it's
crazy.
fine for me. It's just I'm not hot. It's once it gets past 25, 26, then I can wear a t-shirt up to 30s t-shirt, and then after 30 it's vest weather. Yeah.
But we were here now. It's taken about an hour to get here, a bit longer because we had to get Ant some vests because he doesn't have any. But he's now got this nice purple vest that I've encouraged him to wear today. And we have just paid the state entrance. Well, it's a state park, so this isn't a national park like Red Rock. So with Red Rock, we have this pass that allows us now. We've paid.
Oh, not Red Rock. So we have a national park pass that allows you into any of the national parks once you pay your $80 a year. This is not a national park, it's a state park. Therefore you have to pay. If you're living in the state, it's $10, and if you're out of state, it's $15. But the way they check is they say, do you live here? And you go, yes.
Which I was then expecting her to then check a state ID or something, but then she didn't. So we just paid our $10 and that was it. They give you a little ticket to stick in your window. And we are starting our trip through the Valley of Fire. Can I take any route?
Yeah, any route.
Before we get into the weekly update, we thought we'd explain a little bit about Valley of Fire. And it's a bit different from Red Rock. If any of you have been there, Red Rock, it's called the Scenic Loop, and it's literally a loop that you do, and you can stop off, you park your car, and then there's different sections. Valley of Fire is a two-way road, I think, for most of the way.
As far as I know, most of the way. And off of the road, there are turn-offs in which you maybe drive a few hundred meters, park, and then each one has its own walk-in loop and different things. So I think we've stopped at, what's this, petrified logs.
And like with Red Rock, you can search online for the various hiking routes that you can do. This is a bit different because at Red Rock, when you get to the entrance, they offer you a map and everything. Here they don't give you anything.
No.
Okay, well, let's start our weekly update. So this has been a bit different because we are trying to maneuver rocks, as well as also trying to make sure there's no snakes or some form of creepy crawly that we don't want to be around when we're filming.
Yeah.
And it's windy.
Really in the wild at the moment. So a bit nervous about the bugs, but there's nothing here at the minute. So we're using little rocks to prop up. Actually, I can see a massive spider's web.
Yeah, I can see a massive spider's web as well.
Anyway,
we'll be quick here. So in terms of the update, well, this week, exciting for Anton. He finally made the plunge.
I don't know if I'd say exciting. So I finally applied for my EAD, which is the work permit you need when you come as an L2 dependent visa. So really strangely, and I can't quite work out why you wouldn't be allowed to work from day one, but if somebody comes over on an L1, the people attached to them come over on an L2, and an L2 does not give you the right to work.
No, so it gives you the right to apply to work.
Yes. So this is week 8 now.
Yeah, and we always made we could have done it straight away when we was in corporate housing, but then I guess I didn't really trust the issue with addresses and having to update our physical address, so it was always better to wait until we was in our permanent place. And we've also used the mailbox in case it does take a long time. We've got that mailing address that we plan to keep for the next year at least.
Yeah, so at the moment we've spoken to one group of people and they've said it's about 6 months, they've been told, so potentially it could be longer, who knows. and we're only in this home for a year. And we potentially, if we found a home and it was 9 months in, we could move out. So it's probably much better to have it going to a mailbox which stays consistent, whereas our physical address is likely to change.
And to apply for the EAD, it was an application form. It's the I-765 form. And if you go to the USIS website, they've got a section where it tells you where to file depending on which state you're at, the filing fee, which was $410 in this case. We wrote our first check, which was interesting. We had to Google how to write a check in the US. It's
no
different.
idea how to write a check. And then interestingly, slightly off, but funny, we were watching this program on Netflix, and the older lady went to the younger lady and tried to bribe her
with a
and
check.
She pulled a check out. She's like, what do you want me to do with this? What am I supposed to do?
Are you using
Where's
Venmo?
PayPal? So it's quite interesting. We had to look it up, and there's a very set way you have to write the check.
So that's done. But actually, I wasn't referring to that being exciting, because that's not exciting. Applying for your work.
What else is exciting?
Your finance series, of course.
Oh yeah.
That's the exciting bit. That's what I meant by the plunge.
So yeah, I've started our finance. I've been trying to talk Selena into doing it for about a year, but I've realised it's something that I'm far more interested in.
You're passionate about it as well.
So we've started that up, and it's still a joint effort. It's just I'm the face of it, and I do most of the research. Sometimes Selena stands behind the camera.
And I was actually, for the first one, I was behind the camera going, yeah, go.
Yeah, but also you helped me restructure the script so it made a bit more sense and flow better. So although it will mainly be me, and I'm sure she'll join for some of them, it's still a joint thing. So I've started up. I think there's 2 up at the moment.
Yeah.
And we know it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
Some people just prefer the vlogs and the light-hearted stuff. But firstly, it's a passion of mine. And secondly, we do get asked a lot about the finances, whether it's day-to-day or how we got to where we are. So if you don't want to watch them, don't. They're in a completely separate playlist. But if you do, go and watch those now, and I'm in the middle of writing 2 more and putting those up. Yeah,
and give us some ideas of, it would be really good to know, for those of you that do enjoy it, what you do enjoy about it and what you would like to know more about as well. Then, so that was the finance.
Yep.
This week, right, one of the major things is our shipping of our stuff. So last week, I think, have we put up the video of the house tour of how it is at the moment with the rental?
Yeah, so the house
furniture?
tour went up a few days ago.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So we have rental furniture from a company called Court at the moment, and we have been waiting for our shipment that was packed at the beginning, 2nd of March, 3rd of March. It was
2nd of March.
And
it's now the 2nd of May.
Yes, it is 2 whole months later, and it only left the UK this week on the 26th of April. And it took, even to verify that it had actually left, took a good few days after to confirm, and it won't arrive to the US until the 30th of May, I believe. And even then, that I'm a bit, we'll see.
Yeah, they're saying, I mean, eight weeks, but who knows? With the way it's been going, who knows?
It could be longer.
Very, as we said before, it's really difficult to know what to buy and what not to buy. And even if we ignore all of that stuff, there's so much stuff that I'm missing. My bike, for example, that'll be 4 or 5 months without riding. Lots of exercise equipment that we had packed up for sea.
Kettlebells and things. It's frustrating because at the moment we're working, like we've got 4 cups. I've broke a cup, so we've only got 3 coffee cups at the moment, 4 plates, and it means that you're having to go through it. And especially because we're working from home and eating a lot at home, we get through it really quickly. So it's tempting to then go and think, oh, I'll just buy this stuff, which is really annoying because we know all that stuff is coming soon.
Yeah,
so I'm
and
trying not to.
Accumulated a lot of stuff over the homes that we've lived in, but we also bought quite a lot of new stuff fairly
Good
recently,
stuff as well,
within the last year and a half. So it seems just so wasteful to go out and buy it again. So it's just really frustrating.
Yeah, we're trying to make do without it. And the other thing is, even when our shipment arrives at the end of May, it then needs to clear customs, and they're saying it will take anything from 4 to 7 days to clear customs, and then they can set a delivery time, so it will get to LA, I believe, and then we have to wait for them to deliver from LA, which will take another few days. So I'm not expecting our stuff until mid-June, absolute earliest.
Which is a nightmare.
Ooh. This is like walking, it's so bizarre, walking on sand. making myself comfortable on this very comfortable rock. So we've driven to a different place. I think this is what's so different about this place to Red Rock for us, in the sense of there's so many different places you can go here. And look, there's like hieroglyph, I don't know if that's what it's called, carvings in the rocks. That's pretty cool.
Hieroglyphics was the Egyptian language. No?
But that's what it made me think. We can share that. We'll insert. So this particular place is really sandy, but there's loads of this like red rock. But then there's carvings in there, which is pretty cool. Which is what people recommend a lot with coming here on your hikes and the different things you can see. But back to our weekly catch up. So we've covered Ant's finance tips that he'll be releasing. One major update for us is that I think in the last update we mentioned how we'd put an offer in on a house.
Yeah,
but we've
that was
decided,
the last update,
yeah, so we've decided to not go with that route now.
There's many reasons why we're not going to do that, but primarily because the interest rate is far too high, and it's a lot to do with how quickly we're trying to do it and the fact that it will now be an investment property. In terms of whether or not it's affordable, it's definitely affordable, but it doesn't leave us with much contingency if something was to go wrong, or it's left void for 6 months, or the rental market crashed. So the risk was too high for us. I'm sure we could have made it work, but we do like to have enough in reserve should something go wrong. Should all three, four tenants stop paying, can we afford to do this? And I think that would have been a step too far. So although we loved the house, I mean really loved the house
very
and
nice,
the place, it just wouldn't have been the smartest financial move for us.
Right now.
Yeah, right now. So we've let that one go, and we've begun researching what to do next. And one of the ones we thought about was
the
birds flying overhead, and I can see some massive ants as well. Hopefully they're not the ones that sting or bite. So the other options that we've looked into is buying a home back home, so back in the UK, which is probably the best and safest bet because we benefit from all the financial system here, so we'd be paying far less tax. You can write off all your expenses, mortgage interest. However, if we fly back home, either one of us, we have to reapply to be allowed to come back to the US. So that's a massive risk.
The national. So yeah, that's the problem at the moment with. Normally, it shouldn't be an issue because you can just travel in and out. But the fact is, the US are not accepting everyone back into the country, and even with our visa, we would have to apply for what they call a national interest exception. I'm sure we would get it, but it's just that extra added complication. Really, that we don't need.
Potentially, if they, for whatever reason, something happened and they were actually nobody from the UK can come back, that means we're separated until they decide, and it could potentially be a year, like last time.
And that was genuinely something that happened last year when the pandemic started, and they started all the travel restrictions and bans, and that families were separated.
Yeah, we know
for
people
lengthy
that
periods
quit
of time.
their jobs in the end and had to come back to Europe because they had separated the husband and wife. Kids,
so we really don't want to put ourselves in that position.
So the next one up in terms of investment is crypto. So we have a relatively small holding in crypto, and we haven't really invested in it since 2017. So we are heavy into property and also stocks and shares, and I think we need to diversify a little bit more. So we're going to start with, I know, and the sand in my eyes as well. It's very windy, and we've learned this mic doesn't pick up the wind, which is really good because it means we're a lot clearer, but it's really windy and there's very, very soft
red
sand here.
Sand going into
you
my
might
eyes.
even see it on the camera. So we're going to restart our crypto investments, and that's been an issue in itself because we've moved from the UK to here. They're trying to send my two-factor authentication to my English mobile, so I've had to contact them. There's a whole process that I have to go through to get that. We've opened up a US investment account. There's a really good tip. If you own a UK ISA wrapped investment account, at the point you move to the US, I guess it's the point you become a US tax citizen, you cannot use that ISA anymore. So anything that's in there is fine. You can still have that in there, you can still move that around, but you cannot add additional amounts of money to that. So we've had to open up an investment account in the US. I think we've used TD Ameritrade, I think it's called. I'll put a link to the one that I'm using. It seems really good so far. I haven't actually invested anything into it yet, but the account seems a lot better than IG.
Oh, I know what the TV drama. Should we go for the 75-inch versus the 85? I gathered enough from the comments on YouTube.
One person said 75, but I think he's confused. So you said 75 because of all the people that want to watch football, but surely you want bigger, not smaller. So I'm going to take that as you meant 85, not 75, even if you didn't.
Yeah, pretty much everyone who commented on YouTube mentioned 85. And in fact, if any of you are on the Instagram page, I think I did ask whether the 75-inch is big enough, and most people voted yes in that context.
Yeah.
So I think you've got more people on YouTube who are on your side.
Yeah, that's because I've pled my case. So everybody's agreed to the 85. So what did we just say? We've got a 75
No, we
now?
went for the 75-inch. I felt it was big enough, and actually we're using it for the bedroom at the moment because it's the only place that...
Not at the moment. So the 75 is going to be for the bedroom, and then there will either be
He's
an
now
85
decided,
or 100 that
yeah.
goes into the loft space.
area.
But that might come when we buy our home to live in.
because at the moment we've got... well, we need our furniture, number one. That's the main thing, and where we're standing the TV, we've got nowhere else to put it currently. So it's more than adequate for the bedroom. It's the biggest bedroom we've ever had anyway, and I think it's fine. But yeah,
it's fine for the bedroom, but that is where it's fine. So I would say the distance we are from it, it makes sense to have a 75. So for the loft, you're going to need bigger.
That full immersive experience that you're waiting for, which you all agreed with. So there you go. He's got his case backed up for when we purchase the next TV.
Onto this, I'm covering the thing inside.
Yeah. So we've been here about 2 months now, and I think we've definitely learned some things that we did not realize or appreciate about living in Vegas specifically. So this is very specific to Vegas.
Firstly, it's much better than you'd expect.
Yes.
Much better.
So this does not mean we dislike living here at all, but there are just some things that are a bit different, such as the allergies here, hay fever. It's bizarre, and I know we mentioned this, I think in our very first update, it shocked us, and I honestly thought I was ill or unwell for the first couple of days with a cold or something, but it wasn't, it was allergies.
And you don't expect it because it's not green, and it's very, very dry and rocky. So you don't expect allergies, but the pollen since we've arrived has just been very high. When you check it, it just is very high. Both of us get up irritated every single day.
We're constantly having to take allergy tablets, nasal spray, just to kind of, and it's bizarre, it's very different to the UK. It's not like my eyes are irritated as much.
Just nose and feeling of hay fever.
Which also leads, like the dryness here. It is, and I know everyone's mentioned this, drink plenty of water here. It's super, super dry, and you won't realise that you're getting ill because that you're dehydrated, but it is super dry, and it's impacted me in my skin. So my hands are very dry. I'm also having nosebleeds, I think to do with the dryness. You have as well.
Daily. So I suffer with nosebleeds anyway. I did most of my younger life, and it's sort of stopped around mid-20s to the point I could have 3 nosebleeds lasting well over an hour in a week. So that had died out, and since being here, not every day, but probably every other day, or if I come from outside and get into the shower, I'll be
like
bleeding
a change
for
in pressure
15.
or something.
But when you look at the humidity, it is sometimes 1% humidity, which is probably why you've heard me say before, I prefer Florida weather. I know it's wet, but it kind of feels better for your skin.
No,
this feels really dry.
I prefer dry heat. I wouldn't change that, but it is really bizarre, like your skin feeling that dry. And even I've never suffered with nosebleeds, but I have had really minor nosebleeds every single day, which is not so great. But I wouldn't change the fact that I love living here so far.
There's nothing that's bad enough to make you reconsider living here. And what I've learned over the past 2 months for me is, originally I really wanted to land here, suffer it, and get over to California, but I don't see any benefit to it at the moment. Hopefully we're going to do our first trip to California sometime this year, just to see if it reminds us why we really liked it, but for the time being, definitely not. I mean, look at it here.
And there's so much you can do. And interestingly, the one interesting thing for me that I've picked up on was going down to downtown Las Vegas yesterday. And
it's a culture shock.
It was a culture shock, because when you pick somewhere that we have in Summerlin, where it's
artificial, peaceful,
really
relatively
pretty,
wealthy,
people seem happy, they're in this planet, seemingly. You suddenly go to downtown Las Vegas and it's very different. It's dirty, you're seeing the homelessness issue, the drugs.
Yeah.
That side of Vegas is not pretty at all. And it's much, I noticed it a lot more, maybe because I live here, I don't know, but it was really noticeable. As you can see, we're no longer at the Valley of Fire. We got to a point with the recording, and I think in the last scene we were just talking about the things about Vegas that they never tell you, and one of the things was the wind, and I think the wind got the better of Ant. The only way I can sum it up, we left that last location, drove to the next, started to feel, and it was a bit of a battle with even though it probably doesn't come across as well because the mic does such a good job at hiding the wind, we are physically fighting. And in fact we went to 2 places and had to re-record.
Yeah, in both places you physically have to fight the wind, your eyes, your body, try not to slip off of things. So it becomes quite challenging. Plus we hadn't really eaten all day.
Yeah, and when Ant's hungry,
it's bad.
He's that epitome of hangry.
It's really, really bad. And a quick story, actually. We got married in Tarpon Springs, Florida, and we had decided one of the days to make a trip from that area, which is Clearwater, into Orlando with our families.
Yeah, we went. It was a long day of shopping.
Yeah, and I hadn't eaten, and it's partially my fault. However, when we got back, we assumed that we could just run into a restaurant really quickly, but there were 40-minute waits, and it was so bad. And it was our wedding. My dad had to go in. He ran into, I can't remember if it was Red Lobster, and he spoke to and said, look, it's their wedding. He's going to be really upset. And they actually cleared people that were eating off of the table.
to allow us to sit down because he was at that brink.
It was bad. And I did forget one thing, and the video hasn't come out yet, so I might as well tell you now. The banks are just as useless as all of the other financial things. So they've blocked my card 4 times. 2 times for buying water, 1 time paying for groceries, and this time for attempting to buy crypto. Just me.
Yeah.
So I have no idea what's going on. So walk into Trader Joe, have $100 worth of stuff, and I'm trying to pay, and it's just no. Then I get all of the notifications through saying it's been blocked for whatever reason. So I'm really frustrated with Bank of America, and I plan on cancelling that account and going to somebody else.
You wanted to cancel it about a month in.
Yeah.
You were done with Bank of America.
They're useless. It's just it's so frustrating when I understand if you're trying to buy crypto, maybe block it then. But buying water literally 10 minutes from where the bank was open and 2 minutes from where we're staying, our registered address. What's the likelihood somebody's going to defraud the bank of water? It makes no sense.
Calm down. Okay, I'm calming down.
Yeah, that's frustrating. So that was one. So the financial system continues to annoy us.
In latest news, yesterday the day before, we finally booked tickets to go to see Formula One, which we're both really excited to go and see.
October this
in Austin. You've been before only once in Austin, but I've never been, so I'm personally really excited to go. As usual, thanks for watching. Hopefully you found this update a bit more interesting with the change of scenery, because I think the last ones we've done generally
here
at the park or at Red Rock. And continue commenting. I know I keep saying this every time now. Really do appreciate the comments. And also don't forget to
like, because that helps out the most.
Let's catch up again next week.